we're going to hand you over now to Karin Volo, who is absolutely incredible. She is our Chief Inspiration Officer for Inspire Stockholm. Karin, are you there? You're there. Hello. How are things in Stockholm?
It's all good. Nice sunny day with beautiful autumn leaves. So it's fun that we're going around the world. We can get a peek in everyone's place right now.
Yeah. When I came online earlier, it was dark outside, so it's nice to see the transitioning around as we're all going around the sun at different times. Karin, I'm going to hand you over. I know you've got some amazing things to share with the community, and you're going to be hosting the leg in Stockholm. So enjoy.
Thank you so much, Ruth, and really enjoyed the previous couple of hours. I saw Matt on his way out. What a trooper for going through the whole night, basically, for our time in Europe. And so I'm Karin Volo. I'm known as a Chief Joybringer. I'm also the Chief Inspiration Officer in Stockholm. And I'm going to be your host for the next hour. And basically, just to give you a couple of insights here on Stockholm, we have 14 islands. It's known as the Venice of the North. And if you go out into the extended part of Stockholm, it's over 30,000 islands. So it's a beautiful part of the world. And we are known for having the highest percentage of global companies per capita. So we have Spotify, IKEA, even ABBA. It's been around for a long time. So I'm excited to be with you here today to deliver knowledge and to really help give the Inspiring Workplaces global community much needed information, inspiration, knowledge, and connections basically throughout the world of work. And how do we create these inspiring workplaces, basically looking into the future? And this 24-hour global workplace Inspirathon, it's always a tongue twister for me. It's being hosted live, but it is being recorded as well. So they're going to be made available on demand. And if you have any questions or comments, don't forget to, share your thoughts in the comment section. Even if you're watching the replays, it's always good to hear what your thoughts are. And, there is a Slack channel, so jump on that if you have a chance. I guess it's being shared somewhere for everybody. And, you can be a part of the global conversation and connecting with people there. And basically, everyone is being muted, but we won't be able to hear you and hear the background music or background noise, basically. But, those are just a few of the technical aspects of all of this. And what I want to do now is get into a little bit of the things that we're going to be sharing in the next hour. And we've got a fantastic lineup of speakers, and I am actually going to be the first one to be sharing some information with you. So as I had mentioned, I am Karin Volo, and I run a company called Evolution, where we are transforming business through culture, and our purpose is bringing joy to the workplace. And I'm going to give you as much time, or as much as I can in the very short amount of time that we have. I'll try to not talk too fast, but basically in the workplace right now, we're seeing so many different things happening, and how do we solve all these problems where we're looking at the Great Resignation, quiet quitting, mental health and well-being, hybrid working. A lot of companies are really struggling with that. And the bottom line is that there's so much uncertainty in the world, and we are just getting bombarded time and time again with things that are happening all over the world. And basically, what is going on in the workplace? And the way that I like to look at this is that either we have the biggest crisis ever going on, or we have the biggest opportunity. And it's really a mindset shift. And what I saw over the COVID period and those years was that people who had a company where they loved their coworkers, they loved what they were doing, they felt really inspired by the work that they were doing, that kind of gave them a solid rock, a place to stand and feel safe when all the chaos was going on in the world. So for me, culture is so important, and it's really kind of the glue that holds an organization together. So what I want to share with you in our short amount of time is basically what are the foundational blocks to culture, and how can we make culture tangible. I'll share 5 cultural keys there, and that's really how we can maximize the potential within an organization. So again, if we focus on the problems, we've got the Great Resignation happening. There's a brain drain happening. It costs a lot for companies to hire and recruit talent. If it's, a frontline type of position, it's 140% or 150% of their annual salary. And if it's up to executive managers, it can be up to 400%. What's interesting with the Great Resignation is that a lot of people are shifting industries. They're not staying in the same industry. Then we have the quiet quitting. And I thought that was really interesting when that whole thing came up, because it's just a rebranding of disengagement. It's been around for a long time, but the Gen Z, the younger generations, they want to call it quiet quitting. And I get it. I understand. They're not going to tolerate toxic environments, toxic jobs, any place that they don't feel like they can reach their full potential, and they don't want to go above and beyond. On the flip side of that, I do think that we need to look at, if you're not reaching your full potential, are you living the best version of your life, right? Are you inspired? And when someone is inspired at work, they want to give the best version of themselves, right? So there's kind of two sides to that. I think it's great that we have been able to rise up to be able to speak about the mental health and well-being in the workplace, because these toxic environments have been around for a very long time. The biggest cause of stress is in the workplace, and the biggest cause of, disease is stress. So there's a direct correlation that you can basically, kind of bring it back to. So when leaders are talking about health and well-being in the workplace and what's happening there, it's really important. And I think this is really where workplaces and leaders have a responsibility to care for their employees. I'm talking to a lot of companies all the time with my work that I do, and hybrid working is a really big thing in terms of finding the right balance. Do we bring people in? Do we not? And it's really very individualized for each organization. They have to find their own balance there. And again, as I mentioned, there's all this uncertainty in the world. We've got the pandemic we've gone through, there's wars, there's divisiveness, and companies can either add to this or they can minimize it. So it's a matter of looking at leaders that want to use business as a force of good. And, when you come down to kind of the root cause of all the chaos that's going on in the workplace, we tend to see that it tends to come down to this toxic environment, toxic cultures, and toxic leaders, and that can either make or break people. And I think over the years, we haven't really made those connections and the correlations, and it's coming up to the surface now that this is so important. So, how do we solve this? How do we solve all of these different types of problems? And I definitely believe that it has to do with the culture and actually even building trust. And I'm going to share how I look at culture. There's kind of these three pillars, right? So the three pillars are engagement, purpose, and trust. And to me, if you add those all up together, so engagement plus purpose plus trust, it equals joy at work. And when people are feeling joy at work and they're feeling happy and, driven by what they're doing and motivated, and it just has a ripple effect into their mental health and well-being and how they're, producing and how the company is performing and all of these different things. So let's break it down a little bit. When we look at engagement, and, it's now been a decade since I wrote my book called Engage. And in that book, we kind of identified 5 cultural keys. And I'm still working with that today because it's making culture tangible. And how do we do that? So I'll share the 5 cultural keys very briefly. The first one is collaboration. So that's taking teamwork to the next level. It's people really collaborating and working together for the greater good of the whole organization or the team. And it's really about, trusting your employees and bringing out the best in the people. The second cultural key is creativity. So allowing the ideas and the innovation to flow from within the organization. The third cultural key is connection. So how do we connect on this deeper level, right? Through the values, through the purpose. It's all about the communication, both internally to the employees, but also externally to your customers. It's kind of two sides to that. Sometimes, I think it was Tony Hsieh, who used to be the founder of, or the CEO of Zappos. He said, culture and the brand are two sides of the coin. So culture is going internal and the brand is going external to the market. The fourth cultural key is celebration. So what we mean by celebration is, look at what's going well, celebrating the small wins along the way. It's also about, bringing out the best of people. It's if you make a mistake, you learn from the mistake and you move on. And obviously it's about having fun and celebrating, right? And so making an environment where you do take the time to celebrate even those really small wins along the way. Because so often we're focused on the big goal that we don't take the time to celebrate all the little steps that it took us to get there. And as soon as we reach that big goal, we are moving on to the next goal and don't even take the time to celebrate. So that's actually the key that I find needs the most work in most organizations. Some are really good at it. And then the last cultural key is contribution. And that is really about tying the business to something that is doing good in the world. So it can be, connecting on a local community, doing food drives. It can be connecting to the environment and making the planet a better place, planting trees. It doesn't matter, but as long as it's doing something there and it really connects people to the company and makes it feel like what they do makes a difference and they're part of a bigger purpose. And this really, is very important in terms of reaching our full potential. So the second pillar that we're talking about next is purpose, which ties into some of the things I just talked about. But purpose is really what gives life and work meaning. And when we as individuals can align our personal purpose to the company purpose, wow, that's just like magic starts to happen because we are reaching our full potential. We're excited to get up in the morning on Monday morning and go to work. And, companies right now, we're starting to see a trend and companies are moving to being very purpose driven, which is good. It needs to be authentic, right? And individuals need to be able to take care of and, own their own self, their purpose, but also their engagement as well. And then the thing that I've found over the last few years, which I've been pulled into quite a bit, is working with trust. And trust is really kind of the foundational block of building an amazing company culture. And, when you have a high level of trust, you have better relationships, you have higher productivity, you have higher profits. And Stephen M. R. Covey basically, was able to make trust tangible by saying that high trust organizations outperform low trust organizations by 300%, which is great because we can make all of these softer sides of business very tangible and measurable, which I love as well. And the thing about trust is that it leads to psychological safety. And that is really important. We're talking a lot about psychological safety, right? It's connected to mental health and well-being as well. One of the things that I love to do is I work a lot with neuroscience and I use that to connect it to trust. And so what I found when we can show kind of the scientific information behind like how we are as human beings and how we react to different things or how we respond to things and all these different things. I teach 21 tools in our Ignite Your Trust Factor training, and it's very tangible, but it transcends any sort of cultural differences because we're all human beings. We are all in this place together and we're all trying to do the best that we can and really trying to find, fulfilling work that we're doing. So one of the things that I found over the years is that trust is actually a result from caring. And caring is so important because that's really kind of, if we double click on all of these and go down to really what is the root thing, we're human beings. And if we care about our coworkers and our team members and our colleagues, and we care about the work that we do, and we care about the company that we're working for, like good things are going to happen, right? So we need to be able to align these things. And for me, care is about connection and compassion. The A is basically about being authentic and holding yourself accountable as well as your team members. I have a little acronym for this. The R is about recognition and respect. And then the E is about engagement and enthusiasm or energy. So when we can look at all of those things there, we bring everything together. And I love to give value to people. So I've gone through this very quickly. I know that, but we had a short amount of time. But if you can, I don't know if you guys can share the link. I chose not to have slides here because I like to connect more personally. But at our website, we give out a ton of free reports that are really valuable. We have a report on how to work with increasing engagement in a virtual environment. We have the ROI of trust in 15 hard metrics, which is all research-based. So if you go to Evolution, which is spelled EVOLOSHEN.com and then /reports. So evolution.com/reports. You'll get access to all of our reports. And, I love to give value, like I said, and you can get some great information that'll get you connected if you're interested in doing more, aligned and getting connected with me in any way. I'm very active on LinkedIn. We have our Evolution page on LinkedIn as well, so you can follow there. And basically, that's kind of what I wanted to share. I kept it pretty brief because I know we were on a time schedule here.